The Tuwana Kingdom, a Neo-Hittite state located in the heart of what is now southeastern Turkey, remains one of the most intriguing yet underexplored ancient civilizations. Known primarily through the scant remnants of inscriptions, monuments, and archaeological sites, this kingdom flourished in the 8th century BCE and served as one of the successor states to the once powerful Hittite Empire. In order to understand the significance of the Tuwana Kingdom and its relationship to the broader historical context of the ancient Near East, one must explore the interplay of its Indo-European and Semitic cultures, the political and military forces that shaped its rise and fall, and the enduring legacy it left in the shadows of the Hittite Empire. The collapse of the Hittite Empire around 1200 BCE, a result of both internal strife and external invasions, particularly from the so-called Sea Peoples, left a power vacuum in Anatolia and the surrounding regions. What followed were the emergence of several small Neo-Hittite states, such as Tuwana, which sought to assert themselves in the wake of Hittite decline. The Kingdom of Tuwana was one of the more successful of these states, managing to not only survive, but also flourish for several centuries after the fall of the Hittites. The immediate aftermath of the Hittite Empire's fall saw the fragmentation of its once unified territory into smaller independent kingdoms, many of which retained the Hittite royal traditions, military organization, and language, but blended these with other influences. The Tuwana Kingdom, like many of these successor states, preserved much of the Hittite administrative structure, but there were significant differences that set Tuwana apart. It was in this historical context that the Kingdom of Tuwana emerged. Located to the south of the central Hittite heartland, the kingdom occupied a strategically vital region that bridged the cultures of Anatolia, Syria, and the Levant. The blending of Indo-European Hittite culture with Semitic influences from the Assyrians and neighboring Arameans played a defining role in shaping the Tuwana Kingdom. It is believed that the rulers of Tuwana identified with the Hittite heritage, adopting the Hittite language for official use, while also fostering a cultural fusion that brought in elements of the Semitic world, particularly from Assyria and Aram. This mix of Indo-European and Semitic culture would become one of the key defining features of the Tuwana Kingdom. In examining the Tuwana Kingdom's cultural identity, it becomes apparent that the influence of both the Hittites and their Semitic neighbors shaped the kingdom's language, religious practices, and governance. Hittite language remained the lingua franca of the elite in Tuwana, but the common people likely spoke a variety of dialects influenced by Aramean and Assyrian languages. This linguistic and cultural duality reflects the broader dynamic of the region at the time, where Indo-European and Semitic groups coexisted and influenced one another through trade, conquest, and diplomacy. The religious practices of Tuwana also reveal the cultural blend between the Indo-European Hittite deities and the gods of the Semitic world. The Tuwana people, like their Hittite predecessors, worshipped a pantheon of gods who were associated with natural forces, fertility, and war. However, there were noticeable shifts in how these deities were worshipped. Many of the Semitic deities, such as Hadad, the storm god, were incorporated into Tuwana's religious framework, and over time, these gods gained prominence within the kingdom's religious life. Tuwana's religious syncretism was a hallmark of its success, allowing it to unite different groups under a shared cultural and spiritual framework. The religious ritual practices themselves were heavily influenced by Hittite customs, with kings often performing sacred duties, making offerings to the gods, and leading military campaigns as part of their divine mandate. The Tuwana Kingdom, though small in comparison to the great powers of the ancient Near East, possessed a political and military structure that enabled it to hold its own during a time of great political upheaval. Its leaders, the kings of Tuwana, were seen as both political rulers and religious figures. They were often involved in the military defense of the kingdom as well as maintaining the divine order through religious rituals. Tuwana's military strength was derived from its ability to blend the military traditions of the Hittites with the tactical innovations of the Assyrians. Like the Hittites, the Tuwana military relied heavily on chariotry and infantry, employing a range of weaponry that included bronze swords, spears, and arrows. However, it was the kingdom's strategic location, perched between the Hittite territories and the Assyrian Empire, that allowed it to leverage its position for both defensive and offensive actions. The Tuwana Kingdom engaged in frequent military conflicts, particularly with the Assyrians, who sought to expand their influence over the region. Yet, despite the military pressure, Tuwana was able to maintain its independence, partly due to the kingdom's strong fortifications and its strategic alliances with other Neo-Hittite states. One of the most significant events in the Tuwana Kingdom's military history was its engagement with the Assyrian king Tiglath-Pileser III. The Assyrian Empire, in its quest for regional dominance, frequently attempted to conquer the Tuwana Kingdom, but the kingdom managed to resist Assyrian expansion for a time, signaling the resilience and military skill of its rulers. However, as the Assyrian Empire continued to grow in power, Tuwana's ability to resist its might diminished, and it was eventually absorbed into the expanding Assyrian sphere of influence. The decline of the Tuwana Kingdom was closely tied to the rise of the Assyrian Empire. As Assyria expanded its influence across the Near East, smaller states like Tuwana were gradually subsumed into its larger imperial framework. In the 8th century BCE, Tuwana fell under the control of the Assyrians, marking the end of its independence. Despite this, the legacy of the Tuwana Kingdom did not entirely disappear. Elements of Tuwana's culture, particularly its art, architecture, and religious practices, were absorbed into the Assyrian Empire. Moreover, the kingdom's unique blend of Indo-European and Semitic culture would have a lasting impact on the cultural landscape of the region. Though much of the historical record of the Tuwana Kingdom was lost to time, the archaeological evidence that remains speaks to the kingdom's significance. Inscriptions found in Tuwana's ancient capital of Tuwana, modern-day Tapata, and surrounding sites reveal a sophisticated society with a rich cultural life, one that was deeply influenced by both Hittite and Semitic traditions. These inscriptions, some of which are written in a form of the Hittite language, provide insight into the kingdom's administration, its military campaigns, and its religious practices. The art and architecture of the Tuwana Kingdom, though influenced by Hittite and Assyrian styles, also exhibit unique features. Tuwana's palaces and temples were decorated with elaborate carvings and reliefs that depicted scenes of royal life, military victories, and divine worship. These artworks often depicted the king as both a warrior and a priest, highlighting the dual role of the monarch in Tuwana society. The architectural style, with its massive stone structures and monumental gateways, served as a testament to the kingdom's prosperity and its attempts to assert its independence from larger powers. In conclusion, the Tuwana Kingdom, while a relatively small player in the ancient Near East, represents a fascinating and unique fusion of Indo-European and Semitic cultures. The kingdom's rise and fall, marked by its military prowess, cultural achievements, and eventual absorption by the Assyrians, reflect the broader shifts in power during the Iron Age. Its legacy, though largely obscured by time and the shadow of the Assyrian Empire, continues to be an area of interest for scholars and archaeologists who seek to unravel the mysteries of this enigmatic kingdom. The Tuwana Kingdom's secrets, concealed beneath the dust of ancient ruins and forgotten inscriptions, offer a glimpse into the complex world of the Neo-Hittite states and the cultural interactions that shaped the ancient Near East.